Welcome to the Explainer. All right, today we're going to talk about the ultimate backup plan for our entire digital civilization. And here's the twist. It's a piece of technology you probably think is totally ancient history. So let's get into it. You know, we all live in this world of endless cloud storage, servers, hard drives. It feels like everything we save is saved forever. But is it really? That's the big question we're tackling today. What does it actually mean for something to be permanent in this digital age? And this right here is where things get tricky. This comes straight from the U.S. National Archives. Our digital files, all of them, they're not a set it and forget it kind of deal. They need constant work, constant reformatting, or they just decay. They become unreadable. I mean, think about trying to find a computer that can read a floppy disk from the 90s. Now imagine that problem, but for all of our collective knowledge. And the threats are coming from everywhere. We're talking about massive cyber attacks, ransomware that can lock up entire networks, and the simple, insane cost of constantly migrating data from one format to the next. And then there's the really big stuff, like an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, that could literally fry our electronics and wipe it all out in a flash. Our digital world is way more fragile than we think. So that brings us to this really interesting thought. With all these super modern, high-tech problems, what if the best, most bulletproof solution is something that's been around for decades? Let's meet our unlikely hero, microfilm. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a physical, analog copy of a document shrunk down on photographic film. There's no software, no operating system, no Wi-Fi needed. All you need to read it, literally, is a light and a magnifying glass. It's completely independent of any future technology. And this is the absolute game changer. According to the international standard for this stuff, if you store it correctly, microfilm has a life expectancy of over 500 years. Let that sink in. Not 50 years, 500. This isn't just storage. This is genuine, long-term preservation. Okay, so how do they actually do this? It's not just about snapping a picture and putting it in a box. The world's most important archives use this incredibly smart, really robust system to make sure their records are basically indestructible. It's called the 3-generation system, and it's genius. Step 1, you create the master negative. This thing is like the crown jewels. It gets locked away in a perfect, climate-controlled vault and is never, ever used. Then, from that master, you make a duplicate negative. This is your workhorse. You use this one to make all the other copies. And finally, from that duplicate, you make the service copy. That's the one that researchers and the public actually get to handle. The original is always, always safe. This quote from Cornell's library just nails the core idea, doesn't it? The copies meant for preservation are for one thing and one thing only: preserving. By creating this firewall between the original and the copy people actually use, you guarantee it will last. Okay, so the theory is rock solid. But what about in the real world? Does this stuff actually hold up? Oh yeah. The proof is, well, it's pretty much undeniable. First up, let's talk money. Over 50 years, keeping a volume on microfilm costs a tiny fraction of what it costs to maintain a digital-only system. And why is that? Because you're not paying for those endless expensive cycles of migrating data from old servers to new servers, from old formats to new formats. You just store it. It's incredibly cheap to maintain. And is it reliable? You better believe it. The Library of Congress, one of the biggest archives on the planet, has a documented success rate of 99.8% for retrieving stuff from microfilm over more than half a century. It's practically perfect. It just works. And look, this isn't some quirky little strategy for a few places. We're talking 100%. Every single one of the world's top-tier, most important archives uses this exact master and duplicate system. It is the undisputed global gold standard for a reason. And just look at who is on this list. We're talking about organizations that are in charge of everything from a nation's history to nuclear decommissioning records to priceless cultural artifacts held by the Vatican and the Smithsonian. When the information is so important that it absolutely cannot be lost, this is the technology they trust. So what's the takeaway here for our digital world? It's that microfilm isn't trying to replace digital. Not at all. It's the permanent foundation that makes our convenient digital access possible for the long, long haul. I mean, this quote from the Library of Congress says it all. For day-to-day access, searching, and sharing, digital is obviously king. No one's arguing that. But for preservation, for making absolutely sure that the data survives for centuries, microfilm is the undisputed champ. And this is how they do it. It's a hybrid model, the best of both worlds. On one hand, you've got the preservation master on microfilm. It's stable for 500 plus years, it's tech independent, and it's completely unhackable. On the other hand, you have the digital access copy. It's searchable, it's easy to share, but it's vulnerable and needs constant maintenance. You use the permanent analog master to create the convenient digital copies. It's the ultimate backup plan. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. If the institutions in charge of preserving our entire collective history don't fully trust a digital-only future, what does that say about our own photos, documents, and memories that live only on the cloud? It might just mean that for something to be truly permanent, it has to have a real physical anchor in the real world.